How you doing, Kirsten?
Good. How are you?
Good. Happy Halloween. I see you dressed
Happy Halloween.
appropriately. Hunter,
Yes.
Hunter and I didn't get the memo, but we have Kristen Wellborn from Lane Insurance. I have Hunter Habib, who is the president of Benice Springs Estero Board of Realtors with us, and also our operation manager and my business partner. We had did a video about a week ago, I think, or so, and yeah, we got over, I think, almost what, 2,500, 3,000 views.
Yeah, about 3,000 views now.
3,000 views. So, and we're getting lots of emails and calls. I'm not sure if you are, but I think we sent some people to you too. But we wanted to follow up, and this is a critical time for a lot of people in the insurance industry and how we play our cards, whether we have clients buying or selling. And the one big question that we've been really digging deep on is this 50-50 rule. And
Right.
I know that you're pretty versed in it, and Hunter's pretty versed in it from the board's perspective also. So I'd like to hear your both assessment on the 50-50 rule. We'll start with you, Kristen.
Okay. So what that is, it's going to be for homes that are currently sitting below the base flood elevation. If you are below the base flood elevation, the 50% rule applies to you, and how you can determine if you need to make changes or not is going to be based off the damages that occurred from the storm. So if you have over 50% of the assessed value in damages, you will have to raise that bottom floor up 8 feet. If you're less than 50% of the assessed value in damages, then it can stay where it's at, slab on grade. And how they're saying to calculate that is if the flooding was less than 4 feet, like if you're in the home and you're looking at the wall, the drywall, if it's less than 4 feet high, you're going to do $30 per square foot. That's how you're going to calculate the amount of damages.
And that's excuse me for interrupting you, which Hunter will put in this email that goes out, but there's a FEMA calculator that is online. Is that
the table?
Correct? The table, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm getting the 30
Okay.
from.
All right, we're going to share that.
Yes. And if it's over 4 feet, then you're going to do $60 per square foot.
That's right, yeah.
And the assessed value will obviously go on Lee County Property Appraiser. If you want to see your own assessed value, they're saying to add 20% to that and then see if you're over or below 50%. If you're close, they're saying there's another form that can be filled out and submitted that has to be completed by a contractor with the full quote of what it's going to cost to try to fight that, if you're right at the line.
Who's going to make that determination then if you're right at the line? It will be the FEMA at the end of the day?
I think it has to be submitted to the county for the bidding. So I'm guessing they would.
Okay. Hunter, what do you?
So the base flood elevation. So if they don't have a survey of their property, they have to get a survey done to figure out what their elevation is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I know there's the Lee County website that shows how many surveys are publicly available, but it's definitely not all of them.
Right. There could be quite a few of them though, since they're going to be older homes. Fort Myers Beach, they have elevation certificates. You can Google that, Fort Myers Beach elevation certificates, type in the address. Fort Myers, Lee County, there's multiple sites you can go to search. When I'm looking for one, I go to as many as possible because there could be a Lee County you can look through and then Fort Myers as well. So there might be one on file, but some will need to purchase a new one. Yeah.
And if they're in flood zone X, does this 50% rule apply? If they're not in a FEMA flood zone, they're above the
no.
So it won't apply at all. So they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah, they'll be above that base flood elevation since they're in an X.
So this only applies to properties below base flood elevation.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but also we were talking before we started this call. You also said that who notified you or advised you that maybe no work should be starting until January 1?
That was actually issued, I want to say I seen it shared from NBC2, sharing it for Cape Coral residents.
Okay.
I'm not sure, and they may have even just wrote this article because they're reading about this 50% rule, but they did say do not make repairs until January 1st. So I don't, because some people think they're okay, and then come to find out it's all going to have to be taken down. But yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. So this next question I have, because some people you know, how do I say, is there an advocate for the consumer that can help them, guide them through this process? I mean, they can ask you, they can ask Hunter and I, obviously, but my point is sometimes they want a third party that thinks that it's independent. Are you seeing any advocates out there for the consumer?
For this 50% rule situation?
Well, just to guide them through the insurance process, through the 50% rule and everything else you have to go out through the county.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I'm sure maybe a public adjuster, if they went that route, would be able to look into it further, but I wouldn't. I feel like no one has really known about this law until now.
Right.
Now it's the first I've heard of it, and many people until it happened. So I would say just going to the county, asking what your number is on your property. And in sales, just putting it in the contingencies like that, it to make sure we have 30 days to make sure that it is able to stay where it's sitting.
Well, we had a team meeting before this call, and one of the things that one of our colleagues was he submitted a couple offers on properties over the weekend, and they're seeing in the MLS it's saying no insurance claims, which is fine. Meaning no insurance claim, they got to be bought as is, and it was alluded to by the listing agent saying that any 30-day what do you call it, due diligence period not be accepted. They just want it as is, buy it where it's at.
0 days.
0 days. So it's, and this is why, again, that we're trying to have these conversations with you at a high level and share it with our clientele to, let them know what's going on. And we're trying to feel this on your back, and we want to do best for our buyers and the opportunities out there. But I personally don't know how to play it going forward until we dig a little bit deeper and talk to our attorneys a little bit more too.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add there, Hunter?
No, not really. I mean, we'll share all the graphs, the table that Kristen talked about, the how to calculate the square footages and all the little rules and nuances. I think there's a whole application process as well. Is that correct? Isn't there like an application form they have to fill out to apply for all this?
For a permit?
For the 50/50 rule through FEMA, isn't there like a?
Let me go back to the site really quick, hold on. Because I did see when I was looking at the table that you're talking about with the $30 or $60 if it's a full renovation, at the bottom of that, there was like an application that would need to be completely filled out. But from what I'm understanding, that's only if you're right at that line of being 50%. I would say probably the best way to find out, like if they're trying to sell a home to see if it's going to be over or under, I would have the seller go directly to the county and ask them, get their number, and maybe they'll print it out or something, because they're going to go back 5 years as well. Right. Improvement. So even though we have this table that we can just do $30 times 2,000 square feet and put that against the assessed value, we still need to keep in mind those 5 years back, because it could be over, once we add that all up. So I would say go to the county, get that number. That way you have a more accurate idea whether it's going to need to be completely rebuilt from scratch or it can be the way it is. So I feel like that's the only way we can really.
Okay. Well, there's an article that Hunter shared this morning, which we'll put in this link also, that this also applies to commercial properties too. The 50/50 rule.
That I'm not sure of, because I was reading an article that said it does not.
See, all right, and we'll share the article that says it does, but my point being, these are the things that we're still trying to uncover because of the conflict of information. So that's why it's so buyer beware and seller beware, so that we
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns in this.
Yes. Gosh, I feel sorry for the people that have been devastated, because I mean, we're trying to help as you, and trying to give them as much information as possible. And now we're having a little not disagreement, but just a conflict in information. So now we got to dig deeper to help share.
Yeah.
So Hunter, since Hunter's the president of the board, how is the board been inundated with calls and information from the educational process?
Not really as it pertains to insurance exactly, but it does to how the real estate market's going to be affected from a natural disaster like a hurricane. And so we're getting a lot of questions about how quickly the recovery is. What's the market going to do? Because a lot of people think that they just get predatory once something comes in, wipes out an area, and they just want to come in and swoop in and, you know, buy properties for dirt cheap. And that's just not how that process really works.
Okay.
We typically see the market recover within 1 to 3 months of an area directly hit. So we'll just have to wait and see, but that's the main calls we're getting at the board.
Well, that's the market, but I still believe it just because of the devastation. I mean, it's going to take longer than 3 months, but you're saying market conditions versus rebuilding are two different things.
Yeah, and the recovery, what I mean is sales will go back to about what they were
Okay.
after about 3 months' time. Doesn't mean that the recovery process is over. It means our natural sales process in the real estate market has recovered to what we call normal.
Well, and with that said, though, too, I'm going to go back to pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, we had 18,000 listings in our MLS. At our low point during COVID, we went down to 2,500 listings. And then when I say the MLS, that's from Fort Myers down to Marco Island. And then right before Ian hit, we're up to 7,700 listings. We dropped down to 6,600 as of today. Today is October 31st, 2022. Happy Halloween again. But the point is that we're still not in a normal balanced market. So we're going to have the supply demand issues, not to mention the some people have to sell because they can't afford to repair. So again, the market's going to be good, just got to sort it out.
Yeah, we're getting quite a few quote requests for new purchases on homes. So
New purchases?
yes.
Where? Like, I mean, inland?
Fort Myers, just there's realtors calling also for like Fort Myers Beach and pretty much everywhere, but there are people still buying right now. Like we're getting more and more, I feel like, each day.
That's good. That's good. And you're still taking claims each day too, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
People
Well,
that thought they didn't have much damage, now it's leaking inside their home from,
well, that'd be another segment we talk about. Maybe we could share some of the stories that people have endured, or get a client or two on a call with us. And I'm sure there's some great stories, but there's also some devastating stories that, but we'll get to that. Anything you need, you want to add though, Kirsten, before we go? It's something you think that our clientele should know?
one thing I know I missed, bringing it up to code is the base flood elevation plus 1 foot.
Plus 1 foot, that's right, yeah.
Plus 1 foot. So that's where we're supposed to be at, to be the FEMA's current codes. So if you have to be, if it has to be raised, it's going to have to be at least the base flood plus 1 foot.
So that means that the base flood elevation for your property is 15 feet. Your survey needs to read at least 16 feet to be considered not in the 50%. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if it's 14 or 15 feet in this case, they won't get insured. And the county could ask them to tear it down again.
Yeah, from what yes, if they need to rebuild from scratch, then yes, it's going to have to be, they won't issue a permit.
Wow. All right, well, all I can say is to be continued, right?
Yes.
To be continued. Well, thank you again for your time and your wisdom. Thank you, Hunter. And we'll probably reconvene in a week or two and share what we were learning at that time.
All right.
Well, have a great day, and again, happy Halloween.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.